Hash the voice that changed everything. The morning sun cast long shadows across the busy streets of Manila. 10-year-old Marcus Santos sat on the corner of Rizal Avenue, his small fingers wrapped around a worn microphone connected to a battery-powered speaker. His voice rose above the traffic noise, singing a ballad his mother had taught him years ago. People hurried past, their shoes clicking against the hot pavement. Most didn't stop. A few dropped coins into the plastic container at his feet. Marcus didn't mind. He sang because it made him feel close to his mother, even though she had been gone for 3 years now. His grandmother, Lola Carmen, waited nearby on a wooden stool, fanning herself with a folded newspaper. Her weathered face showed pride whenever she watched her grandson perform. She had raised Marcus alone since his mother passed, working as a laundry woman to keep them fed and sheltered in their small apartment. Every day followed the same pattern. Marcus would sing from morning until afternoon, then help his grandmother carry the heavy baskets of laundry back to their neighborhood. In the evenings, he practiced new songs by candlelight when the electricity was cut off. His dreams were simple but powerful. He wanted to sing on a real stage, under real lights, for people who came specifically to listen. Life in Manila was hard but familiar. The streets taught Marcus resilience. The other street performers became his friends and teachers. They showed him how to project his voice, how to connect with passers-by, how to make even the saddest song feel hopeful. But deep in his heart, Marcus wondered if anyone beyond these crowded streets would ever truly hear him. The problem wasn't his talent. Everyone who stopped to listen told him he had an extraordinary gift. The problem was opportunity. How could a boy from the streets of Manila ever reach the stages he dreamed about? How could someone with holes in his shoes and patches on his shirt ever stand before the judges he watched on the old television at the community center? One afternoon, something unusual happened. An American tourist named Robert Mitchell stopped to listen. He stood there for 3 complete songs, his phone recording Marcus's performance. When Marcus finished, Robert approached with tears in his eyes. "Son, that was remarkable," Robert said, his voice thick with emotion. "Have you ever thought about auditioning for a talent show?" Marcus looked at his grandmother, then back at Robert. "I watch America's Got Talent sometimes, sir. But that's just a dream. People like me don't get to go to America." Robert smiled gently. He was a talent scout who had worked in the entertainment industry for 20 years. He traveled the world looking for unique voices and inspiring stories. Something about Marcus reminded him why he had started this work in the first place. "What if I told you that dreams can become reality?" Robert asked. "What if I could help you audition?" Lola Carmen stood up slowly, suspicion and hope warring on her face. She had heard promises before. People came and went, offering help that never materialized. But there was something sincere in this stranger's eyes. Over the next few weeks, Robert returned every day. He helped Marcus prepare an audition video. He connected them with the show's producers. He even helped arrange the paperwork and travel documents, though he made it clear that Marcus still had to earn his spot through his talent alone. The waiting was the hardest part. Marcus continued singing on the streets, but now each performance felt different. He wasn't just singing for coins anymore. He was preparing for something bigger than he had ever imagined. 3 months later, Marcus and Lola Carmen stepped off a plane in Los Angeles. Marcus pressed his face against the windows of their taxi, watching the unfamiliar city roll past. Everything looked so different from home. The streets were wider. The buildings reached toward the sky like giants. Even the air felt different against his skin. The night before his audition, Marcus couldn't sleep. He lay in the hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, his grandmother's soft breathing steady beside him. What if he forgot the words? What if his voice cracked? What if the judges didn't understand what his music meant to him? Lola Carmen woke in the darkness and found him sitting by the window. She sat beside him and took his hand. "Your mother used to sit just like this before her performances," she said softly. "She would get so nervous, so afraid of disappointing people. Do you know what I told her?" Marcus shook his head. "I told her that the song doesn't belong to the audience. The song belongs to you. You're just letting them borrow it for a moment. So sing it the way it lives in your heart, and the right people will understand." Those words settled into Marcus's chest like a warm light. The next day, the theater felt enormous and overwhelming. Marcus stood backstage, listening to other performers rehearse. They all seemed so polished, so professional, so perfectly prepared. He looked down at his best shirt, the one Lola Carmen had stayed up late ironing. It was clean but old, much like everything else he owned. A production assistant called his name. It was time. Marcus walked onto the stage, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. The lights were brighter than anything he had experienced on Manila's streets. 4 judges sat at their table, watching him with curious expressions. Behind them, an audience of thousands waited in the darkness. Judge Simon Cowell leaned forward. "Hello. What's your name and where are you from?" "My name is Marcus Santos," he said, his voice smaller than he intended. "I'm from Manila, in the Philippines. And what will you be singing for us today?" asked Judge Heidi Klum, her smile warm and encouraging. "I'll be singing, 'Never Enough,' from The Greatest Showman," Marcus replied. "I'm singing it for my mother, who taught me that music can carry us through the hardest times." Judge Howie Mandel nodded. "That's beautiful. We're ready when you are." The music began. For a brief moment, Marcus felt the old fear rising. But then he remembered his grandmother's words. This song belonged to him. He was just letting them borrow it. He closed his eyes and began to sing. His voice started soft, almost fragile, like the first light of dawn. Then it grew, gaining strength and power with each note. He sang about longing and hope, about dreams that felt impossible but refused to die. He sang about his mother's love and his grandmother's sacrifice. He sang about every morning on Rizal Avenue and every night practicing by candlelight. The theater fell completely silent except for his voice. Marcus opened his eyes and saw something that took his breath away. Judge Sofia Vergara was crying. Several audience members had their hands over their hearts. Even Simon Cowell, known for his tough criticism, looked genuinely moved. As Marcus reached the final chorus, something unexpected happened. Sofia Vergara stood up. Her hand moved toward the golden buzzer at the center of the judges' table. She looked at the other judges, who all nodded their agreement. She pressed it. Golden confetti exploded from above, falling like glittering rain. The audience erupted in thunderous applause. Marcus stood frozen, unable to process what had just happened. The golden buzzer meant he was going straight to the live shows. It meant his dream wasn't just coming true, it was exceeding anything he had imagined. Sophia came onto the stage and wrapped Marcus in a tight embrace. Through his shocked tears, he could see his grandmother in the wings, sobbing with joy. "You have a gift," Sophia told him, her own voice breaking with emotion. "But more than that, you have a story that the world needs to hear. You represent hope for every child who thinks their circumstances define their future." The other judges joined them on stage, each offering words of encouragement. Simon Cowell, rarely sentimental, placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Young man, I've been doing this for many years," he said. "I've heard thousands of singers. But there was something in your voice just now, an authenticity, a depth of feeling that cannot be taught. You didn't just sing that song. You lived it." That night, Marcus and Lola Carmen returned to their hotel in a daze. They watched the video of his audition over and over, still unable to believe it was real. Marcus called his neighbors back in Manila, his voice high with excitement, telling them everything that had happened. But in the quiet moments before sleep, Marcus thought about something deeper than fame or success. He thought about all the children still singing on Manila's streets, all the dreamers who felt invisible, all the voices waiting to be heard. He understood now that his golden buzzer wasn't just for him. It was for all of them. His journey was only beginning, but the boy from Rizal Avenue had already learned the most important lesson. Talent might open doors, but heart, real, honest, unbreakable heart, was what made people stop and truly listen. As Marcus drifted off to sleep, he could hear his mother's voice in his memory, singing the lullaby she used to hum. And for the first time since she passed away, that memory didn't hurt. Instead, it felt like a promise being kept, a dream being honored, a love that transcended even death itself. The morning would bring new challenges, more performances, bigger stages. But tonight, a Filipino boy who once sang for coins on a busy street had touched millions of hearts with nothing but his voice and his story. And that was more than enough.